Okay, let's dive into a story about time, consciousness, and infinity. We're going to explore what it means to live the very same day over and over and over again, and what that kind of repetition can tell us about reality itself. I want you to just look at this number for a second. 10,427. Now imagine that's how many times you live today. For us, that's just a crazy thought experiment. For the woman at the center of our story, it's just Tuesday, or, well, her birthday. So meet Maya Chen. She is completely, utterly trapped in a prison made of a single day, March 15th, 2089. Every morning, it's the same coffee, the same news on the hollow screen, the same birthday call from her mom. And every night, the world just resets, and she's the only one who remembers any of it.
I mean, how does a person even begin to cope with SOT? Think about it. A single 24-hour day, stretched out over nearly 3 decades of your personal experience. The psychological toll is, well, it's just gotta be unimaginable. In Maya's journey through all those thousands of loops, it followed a really predictable, really human pattern. At first it was just pure panic, trying anything and everything to break the cycle. When that failed, it gave way to this deep, crushing depression. But eventually, since she couldn't escape, she started to explore. She learned new languages, mastered instruments, even taught herself quantum physics. And that led to the final phase, a desperate search for answers. And after more than 28 years of living the same day, she found something, a message left on some obscure corner of the web that somehow persisted across the daily resets. It was a total lifeline in an endless ocean of repetition. And that one message, it changed absolutely everything. Her profound, crushing isolation was just shattered. Suddenly, she discovered this hidden community of other people, each one of them trapped in their own endlessly repeating day, just like her. They called themselves loop runners, and their experiences were just staggering. I mean, look at these numbers. Runner 4 has been living the same 4th of July for over 256 subjective years. All of a sudden, Maya's 28 years didn't seem quite so long. She wasn't alone anymore. So together, they start pulling their knowledge, trying to figure out why this is happening. Is it some kind of quantum fluke, a test from some higher intelligence, or, and this was Maya's idea, the most radical one of all, what if this wasn't a bug but a feature? What if it's an evolution, a totally different cyclical way of experiencing time that's just as natural as our linear one? Now here's where it gets really fascinating. As they started comparing notes, they realized that not all prisons are built the same. There were different kinds of loops, and each one came with its own set of rules and its own unique psychological torture. So you had some people like Maya in what they called perfect loops. Nothing you do can ever change what happens. The only freedom you have is inside your own head. But then there were others in choice loops, where they actually had the ability to change things, to see how their actions could create little ripples through their one repeating day. And this just shows you the sheer strangeness of it all. Some loops were actually getting longer over time, offering this glimmer of hope that maybe, just maybe, they could eventually break free. But others were shrinking, creating this terrifying existential dread that their entire world was going to collapse into a single, infinitely repeating second. All of this understanding led to this massive philosophical shift among the runners. They started asking a new question. What if the goal isn't to escape? What if the goal is to understand the loop so completely that it stops being a prison and becomes something else entirely? The community basically discovered this path, a kind of spiritual journey. You start with resistance, right? Fighting it, which just causes unbelievable suffering. Then, slowly, you move to acceptance. And from there, you can actually start to embrace it, to thrive in it. But the final step, the most powerful one, willingly choosing it. Finding freedom, not from the loop, but right there, in the middle of it. Okay, fast forward. By her millionth time repeating her 33rd birthday, which means she's now lived for over 2,700 years subjectively, Maya had learned a few things. 1,000,000 runs at the same day. Well, that gives you a perspective that's almost impossible for us to even wrap our heads around. So her first piece of wisdom was this. Repetition doesn't make things boring, it reveals them. Experiencing the same moment 1,000,000 times doesn't make it stale. No, it shows you 1,000,000 new layers, 1,000,000 details you missed before. Infinity isn't about seeing endless new things. It's about seeing one thing
endlessly. And the second wisdom follows from that. When the world outside of you is completely static, where's the only place left to evolve? Inside yourself. Maya realized the most profound change isn't about changing your job or your city. It's about changing your own consciousness. She became a million different people in the same body on the same day.
And maybe the most powerful lesson of all was that love isn't some passive feeling that just happens to you. It's an active, constant choice. It's the choice to embrace what is, right here, right now. To choose this moment, this day, this life, and to keep choosing it again and again and again, forever.
And that right there, that's the whole shift in perspective. The loop wasn't a prison they needed to escape from. It was a territory, a home, a place where you could go infinitely deep instead of infinitely wide. So in the end, the loop runners discovered that real freedom wasn't about breaking the cycle. It was about willingly and even lovingly choosing the cycle every single time. Freedom wasn't a change in their circumstances. It was a transformation of their own hearts. And that leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, doesn't it? What about the repetitions in our own lives? The daily commute, the familiar routines, the same old arguments. Maybe they aren't just obstacles we have to get through. Maybe they're actually invitations. Invitations to go deeper and find the infinity that's hiding right there in the familiar.